Hi everyone. So now we're ready to add our final touches to our folio layout. So if we have a look at my PDF version over here, you can see that I've got a main heading which is vertical. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that. You'll also notice that I have some headings and subheadings that are repeated throughout my document. And finally, I'm going to show you how to do this drop caps at the top of my document, which is used in professional publications like books and folios, of course, to indicate where the beginning of your document is and also to add a stylish touch. Okay, so let's begin. Okay, so we're back to my InDesign document, and as you can see, I don't have any main headings or subheadings for that matter. So I'm going to start off by putting a main heading over here, and it's going to be my identification of need heading. So because it's vertical, I'm going to need to type on a path. Okay, so if you ever have a look over here where it says type tool, behind that is a type on a path tool, which allows you to actually follow a path. And a path could be a shape that you've created with, for instance, any of these shape tools. It can also be a curvy line that you've created here with the pen tool. Okay. And it can also just be simply a straight line that you make with the line tool. So I'm going to draw a straight line going from top to the bottom of that image, and just make sure that it is perpendicular, and you can see it's perpendicular because it's lime green. Then I'm just going to let it go, and what you'll notice is that the line has a color. Okay, it has a stroke color and it's black. Now I don't want that line to show, so if you have a look up here, it's actually 1 point thickness. I can actually increase that size, but I can also decrease it to 0 so that it disappears. Okay, but the line is still there, the path is still there. So now I'm going to grab my type on a path tool, and I'm just going to hover over that path or line until I see a plus sign. And when I do see that, I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to type in my heading name, which is identification of need. Now you'll already have noticed that the font is very small, so I'm just going to use my tool to highlight it, and I'm just going to go up here to the font, and I'm going to change that to copper plate. Okay, and I'm going to make it bold, and I'm also going to increase the size to 48. And you can see already that, 48 isn't quite big enough. And if I take it to 60, it's a bit better. But I just want to show you how you can actually, with Adobe, you can actually type in, your own font size if you want. So I've just typed in 67, and then I can click out and I can move it around if I want to. I could also flip that so that it's facing the other direction by simply using my selection tool, hovering over the top of that box. And then I can flip it. And you can see if you have a look at the options up the top, it's got the angle and it's actually moving. So if it's a little bit crooked, just say that, you can actually go up here and make it 180 degrees. Okay, and so now it is at the correct angle, and then I can use my move tool if I want and just move it down. There you go. So that is how you create a vertical heading. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to make some headings and subheadings and save them as a character style so that you can keep using them throughout your multi-page document. Okay, so now I'm ready to add some text boxes to create some headings. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is make some space for my new text boxes. So I'm just going to use the selection tool. I'm just going to shrink some of these existing boxes, and you'll have noticed that the text has moved down and then moved into the next text box. So at some point, you're going to have to retrieve that text by simply clicking this plus button and creating a new text box for it. Okay, anyway, so I'm going to draw a new text box. Don't forget to make your text boxes align with existing text boxes. And I'm going to type in my heading, which is design situation. And now I'm going to style it. So I'll highlight that. At the moment, it's Minion Pro, which is the default InDesign font. And I'm going to change it to copper plate. I'm also going to increase the size of that font to 24. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that. Now, before I click out of it, I'm going to save this style, both the font and the font size in my character style palette. And that way I can go back to it and apply this style to any of my headings throughout my document. And this is really important when you have a multi-page document, especially if it's a 40 or 80-page folio. At some point, you're going to forget what font size or style you used. So you simply just go to character styles and you retrieve it from there. So I'm just going to add a plus here, which is create a new style. So I'm going to create a new style. Mine's down here. I'm going to double click it. Okay. And I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it heading. Okay, and if I go to the basic character format, you can see it's copper plate. The size is 24. Okay, and so it's remembered all the characteristics of that heading, and then I click OK. So I could go anywhere and apply that now by simply sort of selecting text, and then I could go heading, and it would apply that exact style. So I'm going to go ahead now and create a subheading style as well. So I'm just going to make a space over here. Just going to move that up, and I'm just going to put a text box in there, and I'm just going to type in, let's see, I'll type in research, which can be my subheading. Again, I'm going to style that. I'm going to use the same font. Okay, it's important that you only use maybe 2, 3 maximum number of fonts. Okay, so now I'm ready to create another style, and that is a subheading style. So I'm using copper plate, 18-point font, and over here in the character styles palette, I'm simply going to click plus. Okay, there's the new character style. I'm going to give it a different name. I'm going to call it heading. Okay, and if you have a look here, it's based on none plus size 18 point. So if you're not quite sure exactly all its characteristics, just go down to basic character format, and you can see that it's copper plate. Okay. Okay, so then I've got a style called subheading, and I can now continue creating some subheadings and headings throughout and just applying those styles. I'm just going to make a few more text boxes and continue with that. So I might move that down a bit and create another text box here and put in statistics. And I'm going to turn that into a subheading. There you go. Very, very easy, nice and simple and fast. And I just might move that text further up. Okay, so the final thing I would like to show you is how to create this very fancy drop cap at the beginning of my document. Okay, so you'll notice I'm back on my PDF mock-up, and you'll see at the very beginning there's a big capital T that spans 3 lines right at the beginning of my document. That is called a drop cap, and drop caps are used in, most professional Word documents, including books, magazines, newspapers, and of course folios. And drop caps are used to indicate the beginning of your document, and they also add an element of style and professionalism. So I'm just going to show you how to create that. So we're going to go back to the InDesign version. That's this one here. And I'm going to go to my type tool, and I'm going to place the cursor just at the end of the very first word of my document. And up here, I'm going to go from character formatting. So that is, the size of each of your characters, the style, etc., etc. And I'm going to go to paragraph formatting. And you'll notice that with paragraph formatting, this is where you find your alignment of paragraphs, the spacing between each line of text. Okay, and you'll also find your drop caps here. Okay, and this is the number of lines that you want your capital, your first letter, to drop. So I'm just going to click on the plus, and you'll notice that already it's starting to take up 4 lines of text. Okay, and so that is pretty much how you add a drop cap. Okay, the final thing I want you to do is to save this as a PDF, and save it, of course, as an InDesign file first. So just by simply clicking save, but then save it as a PDF by exporting it. So click on export and give it a name. I'm just going to call this one 4 because I've already made a few, and make sure it's on Adobe Print, and then click save. Okay, and you're done. You may notice that it says here there is overset text on pages 1 and 3. That simply means that I've got text boxes that need to be made. So you've got those little red plus symbols, which means that there's still text that you haven't placed onto your document that's hidden away. So normally, if this was a real folio, you would of course have to fix that. But because this is simply a mock-up, I've chosen to just ignore that. And that's it. So have a go and then upload your final mock-up to Canvas. Thank you. Bye.